today I want to talk to you about a crazy story that I came across the internet. This is the story about the first one, the originator, the one that set forth, yes, the numero uno, the first ever created NFT and its creator. So if you're curious about this story, please stick around because I bet you're gonna love it. Hi there, my name is Hector. If you are new around this channel, here I talk about everything related to personal finance, from real estate, stock market, cryptocurrencies, and even NFTs. So if you're into that kind of stuff, please consider subscribing and also hitting that bell notification to help me get to the coveted 1 million subscriber count. All right? NFTs, guys, they have taken the world by storm, and by now that's not even news. I mean, everyone is talking about them, throwing money at them, but most important, there's some people making some serious cash with them. So chances are you do know what NFTs are, but if for whatever reason you are here and you still don't know what an NFT is, let me get you up to speed. NFTs stand for non-fungible token. So fungible or a fungible good or item is something that is interchangeable or replaceable by another identical item. So the best way to explain this fungibility deal is setting an example. Let's say, for instance, that you have a $1 bill. In that case, you wouldn't mind to trade that $1 bill for another $1 bill, right? They are identical, they hold the same monetary value, they are mutually interchangeable. So a non-fungible good or item, on the contrary, is something that cannot be replaced by another item because it holds a unique attribute. The best way to illustrate this concept is with art. I'm pretty sure you've heard about this illustration before, but let me try to explain it just a little different. Let's go back to that same $1 bill that you were holding, right? We said that this dollar bill is mutually interchangeable with any other $1 bill because they hold the same monetary value and they have the same characteristics. Now, imagine that I am a very famous, incredibly renowned artist, and for some reason I decide that I want to paint one of my best masterpieces on that $1 bill. Well, if that happens, this $1 bill is no longer fungible because now it has a unique attribute that can't be replaced by another bill. So this $1 bill has now become scarce. And I know at this point you're probably thinking, "Oh Victor, I know, but you can bill and it will be just the same." Well, not really. You can try to replicate it, but chances are you're not going to be able to make the exact same thing. So yeah, you probably guessed it by now. Uniqueness and scarcity is what makes an item or a good non-fungible. How does this apply to the digital world? Well, let me tell you what. For the longest time, the digital world has been plagued by piracy. Artists were doomed to see their artwork copied and pasted or illegally downloaded on the internet without even giving recognition or financial compensation for their work. All that because up until now, that uniqueness and scarcity attributes were impossible to replicate in the digital world. But now, welcome
to the NFT era.
So the token and non-fungible token actually means that uniqueness and scarcity attributes are added by attaching or merging that digital asset to a token on a blockchain. I have a full video talking and explaining what blockchain is and how it works. So if you're interested in learning more about it, it's right here. But the short version is that blockchain is a decentralized digital ledger that keeps record of all the transactions that take place on that particular blockchain. So by minting an NFT on a particular blockchain, what you're technically doing is attaching or linking that digital asset to that blockchain so that when it moves or that asset is transacted, it leaves a traceable record. And because that particular token is now directly linked to that digital asset, they both become one new, verifiably unique and authentic asset that now can be traced and live on that blockchain. Alright, so now let's get to the good stuff. where did all this technological phenomenon come from? This journey is actually a long story with many different people, different artists, and projects involved. So let's dive in real quick. The idea of NFTs actually emerged from what was called color coins. Color coins were initially issued on a Bitcoin blockchain back in 2012 and 2013. Color coins were tokens that represented real-world assets on the blockchain. Anything from precious metals, cars, real estate, even equities and bonds could be represented with color coins. Although not as sophisticated as projects that we have nowadays on the blockchain, color coin was actually described as new technology and gave raw possibilities for future use cases. So even though the concept of color coin never really took off due to limitations on the Bitcoin blockchain, it laid down the groundwork for further NFT experimentations in the future. And on May 3rd of 2014, Kevin McCoy, a digital artist, minted for the first time the first ever NFT called Quantum. Kevin minted Quantum way before the boom of the crypto market. As of today, Quantum is on sale for $7 million. Now, this is what's fascinating about the story of Quantum and Kevin, its creator. NFTs didn't really pick up much steam until 2016 when memes entered the blockchain. Do you remember that? After that, NFTs started to get a lot more popularity. Then other projects like CryptoPunks or CryptoKitties made it even more popular. Nowadays, projects like Bored Ape Yacht Clubs and many others have taken NFTs to mainstream, to the point that now NFTs are seriously taking over the digital art industry. But okay, this is an interesting fact. Most of today's collections are minted on a handful of blockchains like Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, just to name a few. But Quantum wasn't minted on any of those blockchains. In fact, Quantum was minted on an experimental blockchain technology called Namecoin. Namecoin is a blockchain derived from Bitcoin's code, with a few tweaks that make it work similar to domain names. Like with domain names, you have to renew them at least once a year. Well, Namecoins also work the same way, so you have to renew them roughly every 200 to 250 days. So here's a little issue. After creating his NFT, McCoy did not update the registration in 2015. So if you don't renew your domain name, somebody can come and claim it. And Namecoin appears to work in similar ways. So for the next 6 years, after creating his NFT, nobody claimed that name that McCoy created back in 2014. Not until March of 2021, when McCoy started talking about his early NFT, and Quantum was actually featured on an article by Axios. This article talked about the historical importance of Quantum, including a statement saying that Quantum was for sale and it could fetch as much as $7 million. Of course, given that the Namecoin entry had remained dormant for almost 6 years, it's probably not a coincidence that shortly after the publication came out, somebody picked it up. So in June of 2021, Quantum was sold for a little under $1.5 million by McCoy in a well-known art store called Sotheby's. This is the issue though. The NFT they sold wasn't technically the original asset minted on the original blockchain Namecoin. What they sold was technically a new version of Quantum minted on the Ethereum blockchain. So here's the conflict. A person going by the Twitter handle @EarlyNFT happened to re-register that name on the original blockchain Namecoin on April 5th of 2021, shortly after that Axios article. So this person is now using a Canadian company called Free Holdings to sue McCoy, Sotheby's, and even an NFT startup called Nameless for auctioning what he claims is his NFT out without his consent. He claims that he owns the original NFT, and therefore Sotheby's should make a public note that the asset sold during the auction was not the original NFT but a copy. Can you imagine being the buyer at that auction months later after buying a $1.5 million NFT? Hey dude, did you remember that $1.5 million NFT you bought a few months ago? Not original. So on the face of it, it seems like really bad news for McCoy, because he seems to have lost all the rights to own this piece of art because he didn't renew that registration, even though he created it. But on the other side, it seems like this person is trying to pull a fast one, and I'll tell you why. You see, If you look at the blockchain entries, when early NFT registered the name back in 2021, it technically counted as a new entry name. Alright, and something sketchy here. Right after he re-registered the name in 2021, he updated all the entries and the contents or metadata of that entry to be exact same replica of the one back in 2014 when McCoy originally created that entry. So he technically copied and pasted the same contents to look exactly like McCoy's back in 2014. Which makes me think this looks like a very calculated move. Now compare this to acquiring a domain name. If your domain name lapses, someone else can claim it, and that is totally fine and valid. But what they can't claim is the content of your website, right? Because the domain and the website are not the same thing. Well, Early NFT currently owns the Namecoin name that. But the question is whether he has the rights to own the original metadata associated with the name when it was first registered. Sotheby's claims in the report that the specific Namecoin entry was removed from the system after not being renewed, and that it was effectively burned from the chain. Of course, Early NFT says that that is not an accurate description of what happened on the chain. Well, the reality is that this whole case is a mess right now, and it actually boils down to how you define blockchain entry. If it is just the name but not the contents associated with the original entry, in that case then McCoy and Sotheby's have all the right to create a new asset since McCoy was the creator of the original. If, on the other hand, that entry includes everything associated with the original entry, in that case then this person going by Early NFT does indeed have the right and the ownership of the original content. This whole case is a mess at this moment, and the details and the technicalities are a little fuzzy at this moment. But what is not fuzzy is the fact, guys, that I would appreciate if you hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you enjoyed this video and if you learned something, would you do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and that bell notification, so if you enjoy content like this, you'll get notified when I post my next video. This is it for today, and so I'll see you when I'll see you. Bye.